Hi, my name is Art Mesa, and I've been reluctant to make this video because I'm usually not the type to ask for help. But with the polycystic kidney disease that I have and my kidney function now at 11%, I feel like asking for help is really my best bet at finding a live donor. I was diagnosed with polycystic kidney disease when I was about 5 years old. Doctor said that the cysts on my kidneys over time would grow and overtake my kidneys, lowering their function, and I would need dialysis and then a transplant. So fast forward, I'm at that point now. My kidney function is at 11%. Dialysis is coming up soon, and that's why I'm making this video asking for your help. Uh, your help can come in the form of a repost, sharing, uh, looking into getting tested. If you're interested in that, you could reach out to me with any questions you have. You could also check out lomalindalivingdonor.org. I've got that link in my bio. I'd appreciate any help at this point. Thank you.
Welcome back to the OGP the podcast. Today's guest, we have Art. Art, how you doing?
Good.
Thank you for being here, brother.
Appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So can you be kind to tell us a little bit more insight about your life? Who's Art?
Art is many things. Art is a father, grandfather, photographer, partner, son.
Yes, sir.
I don't know, just a good dude. I don't know. Maybe many things to many people. I don't
Yes, sir.
know, but I try to be a good dude, and all those things. To different people.
Correct.
Yeah.
Where did you grow up, Art?
I grew up in Echo Park.
Okay.
And as a matter of fact, I took a drive there this morning. I had a little extra time. I got here early.
Yes, sir.
But I just drove through a couple of those streets.
Yeah.
Grew up in Echo Park in the 80s and the 90s. After my parents split, my mom, we moved to Boyle Heights.
Got it.
So high school years, mid 90s, mid to late was spent in Boyle Heights. Both those neighborhoods, as you know, look way different today than they did then. Some of the same traces are still there. Some of the same things like I saw this morning. But man, time changes.
Correct.
One of the houses I lived in Echo Park, you wouldn't even know it was there. Like I drove by today, and it was apartment complexes now.
Wow.
So I sent my mom a picture of that. Like she grew up in that house.
Yeah.
And then we lived there. My grandparents lived there, and it's like it never existed. So, but that's the thing with LA, right?
Yeah.
Like, LA has a history of forgetting. Like
Evolution, right?
yeah, it just knocked down, rebuilt, knocked
Rebuilt,
down. So
yeah.
there's like history. This morning too, like before,
Yeah.
I had breakfast at Philippe's.
Yeah.
That was the thing I used to do with my dad.
Oh, wow.
And but to be standing there and there's no sawdust on the floor now. Like they got rid of the sawdust, and
Yeah.
it's like just little things just change. And the uniforms are still the same. The
Yeah.
faces behind the counter change. Time just keeps on going, and it's like you got to pay attention.
What is your best memory that you have on Echo Park?
Best memory from Echo Park would probably be there's a couple. Probably my dad teaching me how to ride my bike.
Okay.
Around the lake.
Yeah.
So we lived like a few blocks away from the lake. We lived on Portilla. It's like maybe 3 blocks away.
Okay.
And so we'd walk down, and he'd, I'd have my bike. We'd walk down there.
Yeah.
He'd stop at the House of Spirits.
Yeah.
Grab. I don't know if he'd grab a beer. He'd grab me like a little pack of baseball cards or something, and then we'd go to the park. And so around that and near the pool.
Yeah.
Side, he'd let me go, and I would just learn to ride my bike there. That was one good memory that I always remember.
Yeah.
Another one was with my grandparents. A few years later, they used to go, they lived on Everett. They lived a little further away from the park, but they used to drive down to the park, and they used to walk 3 laps.
Okay.
And once I found out that they'd go to McDonald's after their walk, I said, hey, I want to go too. I want myself a big breakfast.
Yeah.
So they said, okay, well, you'll go with us, but you got to walk 3 laps. I said, I don't care. So I walked 3 laps with them. But then the catch was, they'd hang out with their friends, and 2 hours of cheese, man. I'm just like, dude, I just wanted a big breakfast.
My breakfast, right?
Yeah. But I'm thankful for those memories. Both my dad, he just passed in February. My grandma just passed in April, or maybe in March. So I don't have them anymore, but I have these memories.
Yeah.
And a lot of things that just make me laugh. Especially my grandma. Things that I remember just make me laugh today. So I'm thankful for that stuff.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that, Art. So you moved. You were there for several years on Echo Park. Then you moved to So
to Boyle Heights.
Boyle
Yeah.
Heights, right? And then from Boyle Heights,
Boyle Heights moved around a few times, and now I'm in Ontario.
Ontario.
Yeah.
Got it. You
So
went to junior high school in some of those cities, or you?
I went to junior high and high school in Boyle Heights. I went
Okay.
to Hollenbeck and to Roosevelt.
Yes, sir.
And in the 90s, it was no joke,
Nah, it's different ball game.
Yeah. And so at that time, I lived on Soto and Brooklyn,
Okay,
right?
familiar with that area.
And I had to walk down, to 6th Street for
Yeah.
Hollenbeck and then 4th Street for Roosevelt. And so just in those, and that amount of, it's like 4 or 5 neighborhoods,
Yes, sir.
and at that time, it's like, man, you got to be cool with at least one person in each neighborhood or you're not getting through. So I was never I never caused trouble.
Yeah.
I was never into any stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's like you had to know somebody.
Correct.
I was like a troll, like letting you cross the bridge. And so to me, like that was like the first social network.
Okay.
Hey, like if they hit you up, and then
Yeah.
they would.
Yeah.
The way you were dressed. I had a shaved head in high school.
Okay.
And you'd have to be like, oh, I know so and so, and then they'd give you a pass.
Yeah.
But if you couldn't afford the RTD, the $1.25.
Yeah, I understand.
And we had a shuttle that would take us home. It was like 25 cents. So man, sometimes that 25 cents really saved you. People would hit you up for nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, just how you're dressed. So it was a time, right?
It was different era at
The
the end of the
90s
day.
Heights was a time.
Correct. You went to a college or anything like that?
I started going to PCC
Okay.
after, and then at that time I wanted to be on the radio.
Okay.
Right? I loved music. I loved listening to music. My parents liked this show called The Sancho Show.
Okay.
That used to be on KPCC.
Mhm.
So my first thing was like, I want to go check out that radio show. I want to go, volunteer. I want
Yeah.
to be a part of it. So I started to do that, and I had a good time. And then college just wasn't as important to me, and I just let it slip away. And then I became a dad.
Yeah.
My son was born, I think I was like 20 years old. He's 26 now. And so life just moved differently.
Correct.
And, I moved with it,
Correct.
instead of like creating my own, like I moved with it. So, yeah.
It's a life changing experience once you start having your first son, your first kid.
Yeah. It was like I was saying, I wish I would have done it a little different, right?
Okay.
Like I wish I heard somewhere recently where it was like talking about the sign of an intelligent person is like being able to design your own life the way you want it,
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like, well, now I feel like I've got a different chance to do that. But I think when I was young, I went with the flow
Okay.
instead of creating my own flow, So I would have done a lot of things different. I would have been more prepared if I
Okay.
could have, and I would have set my son up. I would have set, my kids up differently, myself. And you bring a lot of, different stresses to
Yeah.
yourself, and then to your relationships, and
Correct.
when you're just not prepared,
Yeah.
financially, emotionally. So yeah, I would have done things differently. But that's, I guess, as you get older, that's what life teaches
I think
you.
as you grow, you get more experience, and
Yeah.
we understand the bigger
So
picture.
now I try to tell my son, like I try to pass, like, and maybe it's like some of the stuff's unwanted, or
Yeah.
and maybe I sound like my dad used to sound with me, always like lecturing. It always sounded like, but I just try to. It's like I'm giving myself those consejos.
Okay, I got you.
And hopefully some stick, but I try to do my best. Yeah.
That's good. That's good. And after that, what was your first job that you got, or your first break that you?
Oh, well, my first job actually, and I just saw it as I drove over here, the LA Conservation Corps.
Okay.
So, but it wasn't, I think we did visit this location,
Mhm.
but we were I think it was more downtown.
Okay.
But yeah, it was Clean and Green, if you remember that.
Yes.
Just teenagers. So it was like
Correct.
maybe 8th grade. I was probably like 13 or 14. You had to get a work permit. And all my friends heard about this job, and, it was like $4.25 an hour. And they're
Yeah.
like, hey, we should all apply. So we got paid to hang out with each other, maybe occasionally paint over some graffiti,
Yeah.
But we had a good time. And a couple of those friends, I'm still cool with. And that was my first job. And then when I started working for the city, I was working here at Junipero Serra branch,
Okay.
just a few blocks on 46th,
yeah.
46th and Main,
Correct.
So I drove by there, and it looks different too, But so even like being here with
Yeah.
you this morning, and just like preparing, for today, like, man, a lot of it is like coming up, and and I appreciate it. Just like
Correct.
traveling these roads,
Yeah. That part.
literally.
Yeah. No, definitely. You're right. So how did you started getting into photography and all of that?
Yeah. So after this library, I started working at another one,
Yeah.
and I got really involved in literary programs, author programs. Who could we get to the branch? Who can we,
Yeah.
started here, but then at the other one, really. And a friend of mine in Florida,
Mhm.
Santino Rivera, he is an independent book publisher, and he put out a book when they were banning, Mexican American studies in Tucson or in Arizona. And so he put out this book called Ban This. And he was gracious enough to publish two of my poems in there. But my poems weren't like all that, but
Okay.
he put them in there, and I appreciated that. But then he says, you know what, for my next book, I want to do the same thing, but I want to include your photography. Because at that time I had been hitting up different car shows and just posting for fun,
Okay.
car show and post and just have a good time. And a lot of people, friends and family were really encouraging, hey, you're doing a great job. Hey, that looks really nice. Keep it up, keep it
Yeah.
up, So now here's this guy, willing to spend his own money
Wow.
to publish this book with my stuff in
Mhm.
it. It's like, who else is offering me this opportunity, right? So I said, hell yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
So we got this moving, and then I'm like, you know what, I got to get my name out there um, before the book comes out, so
Yeah.
people might recognize that. So I started picking up art shows, and people were offering me art shows and solo shows and group shows, and I was just going like full steam.
Wow.
So that was like 2014, and then kind of felt a little burnout, kind of like had to like reshift like the focus.
Okay.
So like the last few years, that's what I've been pretty much doing. Like I've taken the foot off the gas, to just reevaluate. I've got a grandson now.
Okay.
Yeah, I went through a divorce, and I'm not like, I don't see my daughter. I mean, I see my son because
Yeah.
he's older. My daughter, I try to spend time with her, and uh, just trying to move pieces around and
Okay.
what works for me now, and so that's been the journey. And then like the last couple years, I've really been experiencing like this kidney disease
Okay.
that I have, and so shifting the focus to trying to take care of this stuff.
Take care of yourself, most of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the kidney disease. My dad had it as a genetic
Okay.
disease, and so when he was diagnosed in his like early 30s, they suggested that he get his kids tested. So he had 4 kids. I think 3 of us have it. I had like the most. And what it is like cysts on your kidneys that over time the cysts keep growing and they keep harming your kidneys and lowering the function. Right.
Okay.
So when I was 5 years old, that's when they found out that I had it because they found him.
Mhm.
So when he was 40 years old, he was on dialysis. Then he was on dialysis for 2 years. His brother gave him his kidney,
Okay.
and then he was cool. I've been fortunate where dialysis I didn't start dialysis till I was 46. Well, I'm 46 now. I've been on for about a month. My symptoms and the way that I feel and the way that it's progressed
Okay.
is nowhere compared to how he experienced it.
Wow.
So like I said, he just passed a couple months ago, but he would tell me like at this point that I'm at, oh man, I think you're gonna be good. He's like, compared to his experience, like,
Yeah.
so I'm hoping, I'm hoping that I'm not on dialysis for 2 years, and that I find a donor, and then this like I feel real optimistic about it, but I also feel like this is just a speed bump.
Okay.
I'm just gonna pass it.
Hopefully, yes, sir.
Going through it right now, but it's not like I'm not gonna be on there forever.
Yeah.
So I'm thankful that I still feel good physically. I go to dialysis. I sit there for 4 hours. I on my own accord, like I walk there. Like I can get up and walk. And
Okay.
some of the other patients are, they don't have the same. Like
Wow.
some will come in on wheelchairs, on gurneys, on with walkers, and I'm really fortunate that I feel so good physically. And then the days that I'm not on dialysis, like I can
Yeah.
function. I don't have to take time off from work. Like I'm still good. My dad took 2 years off during his time. Like so far, like I have it really good right now.
You think it's because of the medicine has evolution and now has changed when your dad
No,
went through that and now you're going through it?
no, I was kind of surprised. I don't think much has changed.
Okay.
And he was in great shape. He was a little bit taller, always skinny.
Hmm.
I know he was like strict on his diet, and after he got his transplant, he was strict on his diet. Like I don't know why. Like I guess it was just more aggressive with him. They found it when my parents were married. They found it he was 32 years old,
Hmm.
and he was really already experiencing the symptoms. I experienced some of the symptoms, but not like that bad and not that young. You know, um, so I just think that it just hit him harder.
Wow.
And it's like, man, he was in better shape. He was always in better shape, always skinny. I look at old photos of him, and I'm not. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I just got a little lucky in
Okay.
a way.
What are the symptoms for a kidney disease like you have? For some
So
of the viewers, maybe they might not have an
so
idea.
yeah, so one of them, like, so they're different ones, and I've always been trying to look out for, like, if I feel like lower back pain, I'm like,
Okay.
is that you?
Yeah.
So I haven't felt that yet. There's like a change in your urination, or like
Okay.
the amount that you urinate, and they're always asking me a dialysis. Another one is like fluid retention.
Okay.
So when your kidneys stop functioning correctly or whatever, they're supposed to. One of their functions is they're supposed to keep fluid away from like your lungs.
Okay.
They're supposed to filter,
Hmm.
right? All the food that you eat, the water that you drink, they're supposed to filter all the toxins, release them from your body.
Yeah.
But that's one of the things that it stops doing. So the excess fluid starts building up like in your legs, starts building up around your lungs. And so when I go to dialysis, I always see them check me and check others. Like, okay, let's check your breathing. Let's check to see. I know that sometimes I'll feel it or I'll see it like in my lower legs. My
Okay.
socks might be a little tight or whatever.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing about dialysis is that, like, you're sitting there, your blood is leaving, going through a machine, getting filtered, coming back in, and I swear, like, in the 4 hours, I'll lose 5 pounds of just fluid.
Wow.
And it's crazy because, like, I'm sitting there, they weigh you when you come in, you give them the little paper, and then you weigh yourself when you leave, you give them the paper. And I went home one day and it's in kilos, and I go home and I Googled it. It's
Yeah.
like, damn, did I really lose 5 pounds? Like, you're just sitting there and 5 pounds of fluid. And then I look at my legs and I'm like, oh yeah, you can see a difference. But then when you don't go for a few days, they really tell you, like, just keep an eye on how much you drink, keep an eye on how much you're taking in,
Okay.
especially if you're not urinating like you should be,
Correct.
because then that fluid's going to come. So it's like you're just trying to drink water, but it's like at first they tell you drink a lot of water, and then it's like, watch out how much water you drink. It's like,
Yeah.
it's just water.
So are you restricted on liquid or?
Yeah. So luckily not that bad though, because
Okay.
some people, like, if I wasn't urinating, uh, and I guess people either, I don't know if they don't urinate at all, they must urinate some, but
Mhm.
if you urinate like very little, then that's pretty much how much you can take in.
Oh.
So they were telling me, like, limit it to like 3 8-ounce bottles, plus I guess whatever you urinate. And it's like, oh, I love water, but so I'm restricted, but I think it could be worse.
Okay.
And it's kind of, and it's not even like you're eating bad things. I mean, it's just water.
I understand. Are you able to drink like coffee, soda, or some people might drink alcohol? Is that
You're
affect that as well?
Yeah, you're able to, like, I think in moderation, especially like alcohol. I've never been a big drinker. Like, I enjoy like a cocktail, here,
Yeah.
old fashioned here and there, but um yeah, I think all liquids is pretty much the same. Like, just keep but I mean, if you're gonna drink anything, water would be the best. The coffee is gonna be like a diuretic, and they do give you like water pills, especially if you're retaining the water. That's one of the medications that I take, is to relieve excess fluid. Um, but yeah,
So if someone of the adults or the viewers that we have here, if do they request that at the yearly checkup with the doctors to see what will be
um,
kidneys?
no, I don't think they'd request it. I think with I think there's different routes. Like, I think a lot of times this is a genetic kidney disease, right?
Okay.
That came out because my dad had it, and then they said, okay, well, we should check your kids. But I think there are other ways that they can find it. But I think they find it in other people later, when there's like fluid buildup,
Okay.
and it's connected to like diabetes or something like that. When you got diabetes, I know that causes other symptoms that attacks your kidneys, and it's not just the kidney disease, but the diabetes.
Diabetes, yeah.
And then that leads to like congestive heart failure with the fluid buildup. So there are other ways they can find it. But I think if you know that, see, like this kidney disease, like my dad had it, and it's genetic, but he didn't know which one of his parents had it, because you can also have it and then never experience symptoms. So
Interesting.
when he found out, like at 32, his parents didn't want to get tested, because they're like, hey, we both feel fine. Why are we gonna?
Yeah.
And then they both passed years later. My grandma of cancer, and then my grandpa just last November.
Mhm.
And neither of them had kidney troubles. So we don't know which one of them gave it to him. And then he gave it to his, 3 of his kids.
Okay.
And so, I've had my kids tested, and I just want to hear like they don't have it,
Good.
and then that's it ends with me,
Yeah.
you know.
How old were you when you started feeling it not
So,
comfortable?
well, that's the thing. Like I don't really feel anything, and that's the tricky part. So, polycystic kidney disease, it makes you more susceptible to hypertension. Hypertension will lead to high blood pressure,
Mhm.
right? And high blood pressure, like they say, is like the silent killer,
Mhm.
right? Because you don't know you have it, and it's just doing all this damage. So now it's like now high blood pressure, works against your kidneys. So it's like this cycle, So years ago, like 2017 or so, I experienced vertigo for the first time, and I went to Kaiser, and they kept me in, and they said, "Hey, you know what? We're going by these old MRIs that you
Mhm.
took, and we found a aneurysm um, that is probably about to pop or whatever. So we're going to keep you in, and we're going to take care of that,
Mhm.
So if I didn't go in, so when I did go in for that,
Mhm.
they started checking everything. They already knew about my kidney stuff because I had already, you know, they already knew about that. But that 2017 was like an awakening for me. Like you got to lose weight, you got to, So I was like 320 at that point.
Wow.
I lost 50 pounds, in the next few months. It wasn't gonna like cure my kidneys, but it was gonna bring a lot of stuff down. That your sodium's too high, your high blood pressure
Mhm.
is way out of control, So it was like a wake up call. So about 2017 is like when I really started taking it seriously. Started, really keeping up with my trips to my nephrologist, my labs. I was going like every 6 months and every 3 months. Now I go every month, And
Yeah.
then like the last couple of years, like really, like I've been on top of like every appointment, and I got onto the kidney donor list, so that was a blessing. So now I get my labs taken at 3 places every month. Everyone wants blood, but it's all good. I still feel fine,
That's
and
great.
so now I'm thankful to be on that list and looking for a donor.
How does that donor work? How?
So there's like so you can get so when you're on the list, you're on the list for a cadaver donor. So you're on the list for like somebody dies, you'll be the first. Not that you'll be the first one, but you're on that list, right? So when you are the first one, then you're gonna, But California's got the longest wait time, uh, and I believe it's between like about 10 years, 8 to 12 years wait time for a dead person's donor, right? So your best bet is finding a live donor, right? Reaching out to your family, reaching out to your friends,
Yeah.
reaching out however you can. And so when my dad went through his journey, he didn't have social media, right? He didn't. I don't know what he did. As a matter of fact, like I used to see him on the weekends, and then I
Mhm.
would see him on Wednesdays. And I was thinking about it recently, like when he was going through dialysis, I didn't see him during those weeks. He'd go Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I didn't see him, so I really don't know what he felt when he went through it. I didn't know what his struggle was, how he dealt
Mentally.
with it mentally. Any what kind of support he had. He didn't share any of that. I was like maybe 15 years old,
Okay.
and he didn't share any of that with me. So I don't really know. I just know like the surface, what we talk about
Yeah.
years later. But anyway, so yeah, he didn't have that support, and he went to his brother. His brother was like a 5 out of 6 match, and he donated his kidneys. So thanks to that, he got another 30 years of life.
Wow.
So with a cadaver donor too, you get like they say 5 to 10 years. But with a live donor, you get
Be a lot
a
faster.
lot longer. Yeah, or you can if it matches, and you keep up with your medication and all that. So that's what I'm trying to do, and using social media
Yeah.
to put the word out further. And so I was a little reluctant. Like I knew that it would help me, but I was a little reluctant to, one is to like to ask for help,
Okay.
but you're asking for a full kidney, you're asking
Yeah.
for a full organ, you're not just asking for a cup of sugar. So it's kind of a tough thing, but my partner Melanie, man, she's been a huge blessing to me, and also my Jiminy Cricket,
Mhm.
and she was on my case to put this video out, and and she was right, and it was really
great.
well received.
Yeah.
So uh, it was good. So
You think as a man, majority of men out there, including myself, we are too restricted of sharing our will be the word asking for help? Could it be
uh,
like a taboo type of thing, or how do you feel about
yeah,
that?
I think for the most part, yeah, I think a lot has to do with how you grow up,
Mhm.
and who you feel like you're able to rely on. Um, some could be like control.
Yeah.
Like I think with me, because now like I go to dialysis and I gotta rely on my son to pick me up afterward, you know, and it's like I would just want to walk home. I would just want to drive home. I would just want to get it done
Yeah.
myself, you know. So now it's like giving up my car keys and asking for help and asking for this, and it's like I'm not used to that stuff. But
Okay.
um, also when people do want to help you, it's like you got to let them help you, but it's
Yeah.
not always easy to give up. One I think is control, but one is like to feel like you need, when
You
you
need help?
when you haven't when you haven't always needed that, or you just felt like I'm just gonna do it myself.
Makes sense. Because you've been doing everything yourself, and now someone now is
Yeah,
going to
they
help you
legitimately wants to
feel some
help
type of
you.
way, right?
Yeah, and it's kind of a struggle sometimes. You
Yeah.
know, but
How are your kids taking that you're sick like that? How are they?
it's kind of hard to gauge because like my daughter, she's 10,
Mhm.
and I don't know if she fully understands, but she's very smart. Like, so I know that, but um, I don't know if I would have understood at 10,
Yeah.
what this all means. And, like I'm saying, like with my dad, that whole 2 years that he was on there, like it was a blur
Mhm.
to me. I don't remember, any of that stuff. And maybe I was, 14 at that time, just preoccupied with my own stuff. But
Yeah.
he also maybe didn't invite me into his world, and be like, hey, this is what I'm going through or whatever. So with my daughter more, because she's just at home,
Yeah.
coloring or doing whatever she's doing. Like I will FaceTime, and she'll catch me up on whatever drama she's got going on or whatever chisme,
Yeah.
Um, but we stay connected,
Okay.
And then with my son, he's 26, and also too, like I still don't know if he grasps. I'm like I know that he understands, but I try to share what I'm going through, and you know. I don't know, but I don't know if I would. It's different when like you're not in those same shoes,
I
and
understand.
I don't know if I would if I were in his shoes and not in mine. So,
Yeah.
but with him, the last couple years too, like I've really enjoyed, you know, um, our relationship improving, and I was talking about my dad and like
Yeah.
just trying to understand him, and even still after he's gone, trying to understand him, understand myself, understand my relationship with my son, and how we can improve that, has really helped us. So
Correct.
yeah, and to show him that like we do need to ask for help sometimes. Like
Yeah.
I struggle with that, but I'm learning that,
Yeah.
and trying to pass that on to him, like all these things that I would have told myself, you know.
Yeah. We're trying to break the chain
Hmm.
when it comes into our kids, and
Yeah,
want to make sure that they're better than us at the end of the day.
yeah, he's doing a good job. He's got a 5-year-old,
Okay.
and I love to sit there and watch him with his son, and just be grandpa,
Yeah.
and just back off, and watch him be a dad to him, and watch him break those chains.
Yes, sir.
And maybe some of the things that I don't see him breaking, like
Mhm.
just like letting him know, like, I can break them, you can break them,
Yeah.
before King, so he doesn't have to, deal with that stuff. But he's doing a good job. He's a great father.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Um, you were stating that when your dad had the surgery, the brother was 4 out of 5 match.
Yeah, 5 out of 6.
Can you collaborate on that?
I don't know all the markers. I know one is like blood type. I don't know what the 6 are, but from what I remember, it's not easy. And they're brothers, so the DNA is not the
Yeah.
same, but it's very similar. So 5 out of 6, and so from what I've heard, like now it seems to be like it's easier to become a match.
Okay.
Because I don't know, I just feel like like they're brothers, right? So 5 out of 6 match. But I've heard people that are just like couples,
Mhm.
and they're matches,
Wow.
So it's like they're not even related, but they,
Yeah.
so that's great,
Yeah.
So I'm like, man, it must have been, it must be easier now to become a match than it was back then, or I don't know what's going on, but um, I don't know. But as far as I know, thanks to that video, people have reached out to Loma Linda, my transplant center that I'm with,
Yeah.
and they've applied to see if they're a match, and I think testing has already started, and that they're testing like a couple, groups at a time. So I'm hoping to hear back like where we're at, how's it going. Not necessarily to get my hopes up or nothing like that, but at least to be informed. Like, okay,
Correct.
we've tested this many. How tough is it to find a match or what? But
Yes, sir.
yeah, I stay optimistic about it though.
It's a process. It's a long process.
Yeah.
It's a live canvas will be have a normal life if they share one of the kidneys. What is the
Oh, for
process
sure.
with that?
Yeah, that's the thing too. Like my uncle, Danny, like he had a normal life. I mean, he's still alive. He's
Yeah.
had a normal life, and that's the thing. Like you really only need one kidney functioning to have a comfortable life. So giving up one is not going to harm you.
Okay.
You know,
There's no restrictions in your daily life.
none at all. Yeah, I think just recuperating. I don't think there's. I don't think you don't have to take medications. Just maybe at the beginning after the surgery.
Hmm.
But for me, I would be taking like anti-rejection pills like the rest of my life. So that I would have to get better at taking my medication because you'd be taking medication like twice a day.
Wow.
But for the donor, no restrictions. Maybe you'll be off of work as you're recovering a few weeks, can't drive for a few weeks or whatever.
Hmm.
But you live a normal life afterward. Yeah. So
Okay.
that's a good point, and that's something that people have brought up like in the comments.
Yeah.
On one of my posts or a couple of posts, like just make sure that people know, you live a normal life afterward.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. Yeah, we want to make sure that some of the viewers here they understand the process in case they do want to reach out and help you with a kidney donor. Um, they're not afraid of asking those questions and they understand the process and the requirements, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully, to be another donor to you, to anyone out there that is they're willing to help.
Yeah, and I've been really thankful and just blown away by people's support. Where like even putting out that first video, where people that I didn't even know, never met before, were replying, "How can I get tested? How can?" I'm like, that's like wow, and I send them the link and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But just the people's willingness,
Correct.
it really touched me.
How difficult was for you to make that video?
How many what?
How difficult was it for you to make that video?
Oh man. So I kept putting it off,
Okay.
like I knew that it was necessary.
Yeah.
Like I knew that I had to do something. Um, but there was, I put it off for different, many reasons. Like one was like, oh, if I put out a video, like I want it to look nice. I want it to look professional. I want it, I don't want it to just, people just scroll past it. So it's got to look, I was getting too picky with it, but then it was
Okay.
like, you know what? And Melanie was telling me like, just put out a video. And so we filmed it in her backyard. Then it was like, man, I don't want to get nervous. Like I told you, I might start rambling.
Yeah.
Uh, so we were in her backyard, and had the camera tripod set up and everything, and did a couple takes. And
Yeah.
then finally, I just, you know what? Let's hit record. And whatever it went through, like a whole minute or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's it. I'm gonna post it. And then it did well, but it was tough because, like I said, man, like asking for help is one thing.
Yeah.
Asking somebody to give up a whole organ, like, bro, that's a lot. So, it was difficult, but necessary. And it's like I said, if my dad didn't have that opportunity, a friend of mine was telling me that his mom was looking for a donor, like back in the 80s
Mhm.
or so, and she went on the radio,
Oh,
to look for. So like, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
It's like if you have this platform, like you gotta take advantage of it.
Correct.
So I couldn't not make one, but it was difficult to do it. But again, Melanie, yeah,
She helped you a lot.
yeah.
After you having that experience and releasing that video and finally, um, asking for help for someone, did that help you internally as a person, as me and peace? Did that change your ways of thinking? How was that process?
Yes and no. Yes, because it's like, yeah, it's like, overall on my page, throughout the years, I've shared some personal stuff, my kids,
Mhm.
myself and stuff. And so this was like another thing about it. It's not just, lowrider culture, Chicano culture. It's not just photos, but this is me, the real person. And so it was like another layer, like the armor, like just coming off. And this is me, and this is what I'm dealing with, and this is my situation.
Yeah.
But then, that video, and then, giving updates makes me feel like, dang, how much do I got to share? How much more do I got to share?
Like a
to
borderline.
like people might feel invested in this story or whatever, how much am I willing to share?
Yeah.
But that thought has crossed my mind, but it doesn't really weigh me down or nothing. But it's because sometimes you don't want to share everything, but you want but so far it's been comfortable. You share what you want to share, and it's
Correct.
been comfortable, and you know
That's good.
yeah.
Well, bro, thank you for sharing that part of your life, to the viewers, let them know what you're going through and what is the process and the requirement. And I mean, I think that's really important when it comes into men and female to go and check ourselves on a yearly basis, not just kidney disease, overall all the way around, right?
Yeah, with should have said before, but with like the kidney disease, I think I mean they're not going to just jump straight to ultrasounds,
Mm-hmm.
but the ultrasound is a way that they can check to see what your kidneys look like. So it's nothing invasive. If I guess if you have any other symptoms that could lead to that, that would be the way that and that's how they found mine. Just an ultrasound, and they found the cysts on the kidneys.
Okay,
So that's an easy way to get tested.
that's great.
But also, if they want to get tested to see if they're a match for me, I might as well throw it out there. The link is lomalindalivingdonor.org.
Okay, lomalindalivingdonor.com.
.org.
.org.
Yeah, and then
Okay.
they could just put in my name and birth date, 5/27/79,
Okay.
and then I can see if they're.
Well, they can reach out to you on your
Yeah,
IG
they can reach
page.
out to me, Chicano_Soul, and then
Gotcha.
I'll answer any questions.
All
for
right.
sure.
Well, thank you for sharing that. It's we're reminiscing all kinds of stuff in your life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why don't you can you take us back? What was your first camera that you used when you started taking picture? What was the brand and model?
My first camera that I like with this stuff was a Coolpix.
Okay.
And well, no, actually, sorry. Before that, it was like an iPod, Nano or whichever one had a camera on it.
Okay.
So that's what I was using, just because it was just a hobby. Yeah, I was at a car show, it was like a Bob's Big Boy on a Friday night, and so I was just doing it like that. But then, as it got more serious, and then my friend reached out with the book idea. I was like, oh, I need a legit camera. I need like some good sized files.
Mhm.
So then my family got me a Coolpix for Christmas, and that was like my first, not a full on camera, but it was a nice little. So then it was like a Nikon, and I've stuck with Nikon since then. But I think that you can shoot great photos with anything.
Yeah.
I think it's the eye that matters. It's your own idea, your own vision.
Correct.
I've been fortunate that like whatever I shoot, a lot of times people will tell me like, oh, I know that was your photo. I can identify. I know that's your work.
Yeah.
And with so many photographers out there, and everybody's got their own vision. Everyone's got their own ideas and the way they see things.
Correct.
Like I appreciate that people can spot my stuff, in the crowd.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter. Like yes, the better equipment helps, sharper lenses help, and all that stuff. But man, the next person has a different point of view than I do.
Correct.
And I'm not going to see things the way they do. They're not, so it's all individual.
Yes, sir.
Just like coloring books.
Yeah. Correct. We were talking earlier about one of the what's the word? One of the government person was sharing your picture. Can you collaborate on that?
Yeah. So that photo was actually taken with that camera, with that Coolpix. One day, I was at the 4th Street Bridge, and I was with my son, and I said, I want to take a picture of the 6th Street Bridge. So we walked up the bridge and we took a picture. And then, I don't know, about a year or so later, I was just on Twitter fooling around, and I reached out to the mayor, Garcetti, and I just threw it, like just throwing like, spaghetti at the wall. I was like, hey, it would be nice to have my photo in City Hall, And he reached back out. He responded, and he's like, send us your best shot. And I was like, oh, dang, what do I do? So the pressure was on. And I was going to go to like Office Depot and print out the 6th Street Bridge. And my framer, Mike at Frame Monster, he was like, no, you can't do that. You got to send like a legit G-Clay, archival print. And that was like a new world to me, to step up to this like fancy schmancy, print, So I did that. He put me in touch with this gallery. They printed one out for me. And then he supplied the nice frame. And then we got it to City Hall.
Yeah.
And then like a month or two later, Garcetti just posts a picture holding it. And he's like, LA's very own Chicano Soul. Like, what?
Wow.
So like a few months later, something like that, I don't know, the Department of Cultural Affairs.
Yeah.
I knew some people there, and then they were going to put it into the city's fine art collection. So they had to like get it approved, and they had to get it voted on. And this whole big frame, and they invited me up, little hearing, they voted it unanimously, and that was cool. So it's floating around the city right now, and they told me that anytime I wanted to, I can go down to cultural affairs,
Yeah.
and I could just ask them where it's at. They'll tell me which city building it's at, and I can go visit it if I want to. So that's pretty cool. For like the city to know your name, and it's the city of like what 8 million people now.
That part,
Yeah.
it's pretty out
So
there.
to leave your mark,
Yeah.
in your
Correct.
city.
What catches your attention for you to take a picture? What is your thing for you as a that's
Sometimes I don't even know. Sometimes it's like sometimes it's just like a feeling. Sometimes it's just and sometimes you see one thing, and then like there's been a few times, like even with this 6th Street Bridge photo, where it was showing one time at an art show, and under, I think, on one of the train cars it said Huff, the graffiti artist
Mhm.
had Huff on it, and he was at that show, and he pointed out, he's like, hey, that's my piece right there in the photo. And I didn't even notice that in the photo to begin with, so like you see different things. And another time I was vending and I sold a copy of that print, and people noticed the children that were playing under the bridge in
No
the
way.
riverbed, and I was like, damn, I didn't even see them either, so sometimes I don't know, sometimes I just want to just capture like a vibe, like so like it started out like my eyes were drawn to like the cars and the
Okay.
lowriders and the details and the just the originality of them,
Yeah.
and but then it was like, no, like I want to do something, like I want to take a step back. Cars are great and
Mhm.
and all that stuff, but I want people to want to have been there. If you weren't at this car show, like I want you to have experienced it through my eyes, or like I want you to have wanted to be there. Like,
Makes
"Oh,
sense.
like I missed out," kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I wanted to like just back off and photograph like the culture and the people, behind,
Okay.
because at that time I started meeting like a lot of friends. I started, when I just started, you can get in and get out, right? You
Mhm.
can take your pictures, but then, you start meeting people, they start inviting you back, and it's great. But then you like the downside to that is like you spend all this time catching up with friends and you're not photographing. Like that's the reason why you're there.
Yeah.
But it's still cool because you're having a great time. But yeah, my focus kind of switched from the cars to the culture, and now it's like a lot of my loved ones. Like now it's like I want to. Before, when it was like I wanted to be remembered for taking like great photos
Mhm.
of my city, of the culture, of people. Now it's like I want to be responsible, like for my daughter's favorite photo.
Okay.
Melanie's favorite photo. My grandson. Like that's what I want to leave behind too.
Okay.
My dad took this photo of me.
Oh
You
wow.
know. Yeah.
I'll make sure they remember you.
Yeah, uh, yeah.
What are your thoughts, Art, with when you started doing photography to what it is today? What has changed between those years? What do you think is different?
That's a good question. Um, what has changed? I think, I mean, I think one is like cameras being so accessible. I like that because anybody could pick one up
Hmm.
and anybody can do their thing. And I heard it explained one time, or it was like described as like looking at a dance floor.
Okay.
Right. And everybody's dancing out there. And so all the dancers are photographers, right? But everybody's dancing. And so when you look out there and you're like, you can see who can dance and who can't dance. But everybody's doing their thing.
Hmm.
Right. So I think it's like the same thing with photography. But being that there's like a camera, and just for me, even like picking up a camera with like the iPod had a camera on it,
Yeah.
I was able to get into like the photography. And I didn't grow up I didn't go to school for photography. I didn't, I wasn't raised like my parents weren't photographers or nothing like that. But cameras on everything makes it more accessible
Yeah.
for people to tap into what they might be good at. So I like that. I like that. And even at least to just give it a try. It might not be your thing,
Correct.
but cameras are so accessible. That's what I like. And so and like I said, like another thing is because they are so accessible, more people are picking them up. More people are sharing their stories.
Yeah.
More people are sharing like, hey, this is me. This is my family. These are my friends. This is the story I want to tell. This is what I want to leave behind. And, we can learn from a lot
From
more
each other,
people.
right?
Yeah. So I appreciate that.
That's great.
Yeah.
You have any advice for any new photographers out there that you want to share to them?
My advice that I always give is like, yeah, share your story, you know, because like they say, like, you see Hollywood, and you see that the stories that they tell and the characters that, the roles that we're given and stuff. And it's like, it's still true today. Like no one's going to tell our story better than we are, you know, even if you don't feel like you fully belong anywhere,
Hmm.
right? Like your story is your story. No one's going to tell it better than you. Um, so tell it, that's what I would say. share your friends' stories, share your parents' stories, your grandparents' stories. Like bring them all with you.
Yeah, that's definitely great. We have touched a lot of bases in your personal life, and thank you for sharing
I
that.
appreciate you having
And I
me.
mean, if anybody wants to reach out again to you regarding your kidney or anything else, is there any way that they can do that?
Yeah, they can reach out to me on Instagram. Might be the quickest thing.
Yes, sir.
Chicano_soul. There's also the link lomalindalivingdonor.org. But yeah, if they hit me up, I'll answer any questions they got.
That's great. Well, always thank you. Thank you for having us. Thank you for
All
sharing
right,
your
man.
personal
Thank you,
life.
man. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
I highly appreciate it, brother.
Thank you.
Anything else that you want to add to the viewers?
Nah, just thank you. Thank you guys. Thank you for the support. Like I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'm feeling good right now.
Great, great.
What's
So,
one of your favorite pictures?
I got a couple. One of them is called American as Apple Pie. It's like these guys on the 6th Street Bridge, and there's a 48 Fleet Line. One guy, Anthony, he's looking in. I love that picture because it's like it's a moment of time. A lot of photography, moment in time is never going to come again, right? But it was taken at the 6th Street Bridge. It's not there anymore. People when they see it, like it's hung in like different shows and galleries and stuff, and people, some of the things they say was when they see it, it's like, oh man, I can hear the music playing. Like I can hear like those are like my tios right there standing, And one cool story was one of the gentlemen in the photo, like I met a couple of them later on, but one of them owns at that time, I don't know if he still does. He owned a '39 Chevy. It was a white car. And so when this photo was going to be in a show in Long Beach, they invited anybody with a lowrider who would bring their car to the show would get early access to the show, and they could walk around the gallery. So this gentleman took advantage of that, and he took his car there. And then when he went into the show to check out the pieces, he saw himself on the wall. So he posted about it on Facebook, and he was excited to see himself in a museum. And like I was saying before, like our stories deserve to be told.
yes, sir.
And so you deserve to see yourself on that. Like you belong on that wall. Like our stories belong on that wall. So I love that photo. Like that. If people remember me for anyone, like that's one of my top ones right there.
One of the top
Yeah.
photos that you have.
Because I feel like it means something, and it's meant something to other people,
Great.
and that people can connect with it.
Is any of your art for sale? If anybody's interested
Yeah,
in
I've
that?
got some, and so that was the thing too. Like becoming like an artist, is learning how to sell prints and doing vending and different merch. Because one of the first logos that I did was like the Coca-Cola style Chicano Soul.
Okay.
And people were like, "Oh, you got to put that on a t-shirt," So learning how to do all that stuff was cool, and I had a lot of fun with it. But some of those prints, yeah, they're available just as loose prints, archival. I've done like limited edition, so they're on my website, ChicanoSoul.net.
Got it.
Yeah.
Why Chicano Soul?
Chicano Soul started off with the music for me. I grew up, thanks to my dad, both my parents, but my dad really, a lot of war, Tower of Power, Joe Baton, like stuff like that, the Midnighters, So I grew up listening to that music and just appreciating. And when I started the page, it was before the photography, and it was just that I just thought those two words were cool, Chicano Soul. And it just so happened that that's like the photography also that I was shooting, the lowrider culture, Chicano culture. My goal for like what I wanted to convey
Correct.
in my shots. So it all just melted together.
Correct.
But like now, like we were saying, people were like, "Hey, Chicano Soul," and it's like, no, it's Arturo. Yeah. So,
Well, Art, thank you again for sharing your life stories. Highly appreciate
I
it, brother.
appreciate you, Ivan.
I definitely wish the best for you.
Thank you,
Hopefully
sir.
you get the donor.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? And we can chat
It's gonna
again
happen.
in the
It's gonna
future.
happen.
Yeah, of course, most definitely. Again, with that being said, thank you for
Thank you, guys.
watching. And remember that people will respect you as much as you respect yourself. So
Yes, sir.
I'll see you in the next one.
Oh, wow.